There we go. Well, here we are back into the regular schedule, and Nicholas Gibbs. I know, just don't call you late for lunch, right? Okay. Is back with us on Tuesday night, as he should be. And what we had today, Nicholas, was, I think, a shock to everybody. I don't think anybody was expecting us to be up at one point 7%. And even after hours, with a little bit of a sell-off, we're still looking at well over 6%. So what is your take? I had my take. I've been talking about it all day long. So I'm curious, what do you think was the main reason or the couple of reasons that caused things to go nuts today?
Well, I don't think it's a one day answer,
Okay.
one day reasoning. Um, to your point, you said nobody was expecting this. Well, I bought some call options that I talked about publicly about a few weeks ago now,
Yep.
and so I would say some of us anticipated this.
But I'm talking
So
about today.
no, yeah. But
Eventually.
again, I don't think it's a one day thing. I think these moves have been coming. I think they're somewhat predictable. I don't think it's because of the semi. I don't, it's something that's going to come out in 2 years. I don't think it's any kind of like real short squeeze or anything like that. I think it's a lot of people just finding an opportunity to get into Tesla before we get to the shareholder meeting, which people think will inevitably go in the favor of Tesla and Elon. And I think people are going to try to get ahead of that because, you know, we're, I anticipate a little bit of a sell off next week
Oh, okay.
on day when we get delivery numbers. Is that next week, Tuesday, the second?
No, it's not until
2 weeks.
yeah, week from so it'll be 2 weeks from yesterday.
Says you guys how well I know about what day of the week it is. Um, okay, yeah. So it's
Hear
we
about it
got
on Sunday, and then that Monday we'll get the
yeah. So I imagine it's going to be weaker numbers than what Wall Street anticipates. All that stuff's going to happen. So it'll be down, but everybody knows it's going to rebound more or less quickly because once we get to the 13th, things rebound. So I think today is just more people getting into the stock, and I think that's really all it is. The China numbers help. Yeah, sure. The semi news helps. The fact that they're putting out these, great uh, I don't know, case studies and videos and commercials for Elon and moving the headquarters. I think all that helps. Got some, a lot of, let's say, I don't want to say drama is the wrong word, but a lot of excitement with some robotaxi stuff embedded into that. So, a lot of teasers there. So I'm sure it's a little bit of all of it, but I think the bigger thing, I think we're going to see this going into the 13th, is that you're going to see more and more people come into the stock and try to get ahead of a potential
yeah.
obvious move, which will be the comp being approved and maybe us getting reincorporated or moving our corporation to Texas. So I think that's what it is. I know everybody wants to find out what's that one thing. I don't think there's one thing. I think it's a compilation of things and it's over a bigger span of time. But that's why I bought my call options. And
Gotcha.
so the thesis is proven out.
All right, so you're looking as far ahead as the 13th of June, but then we have about 60 days after that, we've got another big deal. We've got 8/8. So do you think that we'll rally past the 13th, assuming that Elon gets his compensation plan? Do we rally past that and start getting some FOMO into the August situation, or what do you think?
My answer is no, and then yes.
Okay.
So, so to be clear, just because I've been transparent on all the channels I've been on, the call options I bought are for 250 strike, June 18th, 2026. Okay, so these are leaps,
Yeah.
right? And when I bought them, we were at like 160, 158 a share,
Okay.
and so that's when I went in on them. But yes, uh, the answer to your question, no, I think after the 13th, there's probably a little bit of a sell the news kind of event. There might be a little rally, but then a sell the news. And then I think it'll be kind of quiet leading into 8/8. And then as we get into 8/8, just like right now, we're getting into 6/13. That's when we'll probably start to pick up a little bit. So I don't know, not financial advice. If you asked me to guess, that's my guess of what would
That's your
happen.
guess. Well, okay. Now put some color on 8/8. You've told us what you think is going to happen on 6/13. What do you think will happen on 8/8? What is your dream case? No, well, either one, your dream case or what you think is really going to happen.
Yeah. And to be clear about what I think is going to happen on 6/13,
Yes.
I definitely think that Elon's going to get his comp approved. I
Okay.
think the reincorporation, based on my understanding, it's a lot like some of the properties we have that are in an HOA. It's really hard to get quorum if you don't have
Yes.
enough people there, and I think that might be the same problem that we have with reincorporating. Not enough people.
Yes.
Anyways, 8/8. I think we get we're gonna learn. We're gonna see several vehicles.
Okay.
That's I can essentially guarantee that we're gonna see several vehicles.
Okay.
Um, and one of them will be a robotaxi.
Okay.
Maybe two of them will be a robotaxi. I don't know.
Two different style,
Um,
like a two-seater and a four-seater.
yeah, potentially.
Six-seater.
I kind of don't think there'll be a four-seater, but there's potential. They're going to show us what they're going to be doing for these new vehicles that are going to be on the existing lines. Elon said they'll talk about that more on 8/8, so that's call that a guarantee. We're going to see more about the app and how that's going to work, the model, and I think we will know when we have a go live date. I think we'll know what city will be the first city. I think that there will be a beta version of the Tesla robotaxi network. It'll
Okay.
probably be in Austin, and then it'll scale from there.
Okay. All right. Okay. And do you think it will be on 8/9, or do you think it will take longer?
I think there's a chance they're already doing it with
Okay.
employees. So I think as far as getting out of employee beta, I think it would go to, they probably do something similar to what Waymo does, where it's like a select handful of people that you have to apply for it. And those are probably Tesla people who own Teslas will be your best
Uh-huh.
pool, or maybe shareholder plus own Tesla,
Uh-huh.
right? Because that way, there's no nefarious actors or anything like that. It kind of insulates it. Um, and yeah, I mean, so maybe not 8/9, but sometime in 2024 or first quarter 2025. Yeah, I think we'll have a good window.
So you don't think it would be a deal with Uber to use Tesla owners in the Uber environment? Okay.
If Tesla did that, I would be very disappointed in Tesla. I would honestly think it'd be pathetic.
Okay. All right.
I see absolute zero value in working with Uber.
I see.
There's
All
I
right.
if you could tell me one value, please tell me, but I don't see it.
Okay. All right. I've always been a big fan of wholesalers. That's why. In other words, I know that in this world, we've gotten to the place where people are trying to go direct as much as they possibly can. Manufacturers who do still use wholesalers and retailers still also sell direct on Amazon or other kinds of online facilities. But I am a fan of wholesalers because they distribute the risk. They increase the information flow. If they are reliable, they can be your best, your best customer, so to speak. They can make things happen that you couldn't make happen. So that's the advantage I see in Uber, is that it provides a very fast opportunity into the marketplace, but no exclusive. Just if you own a Tesla and you are an Uber driver, you can also now use the Tesla app, and Uber is part of the deal because maybe there's a way that the apps talk to each other.
I don't know that I don't see the benefit there. So
Now, the other
I mean,
side, the other side of
tell me
that,
the
yeah, the other side of that is I just used a lot of Uber, okay, over the last few days. And in New York City, I was really surprised that one of my Ubers was a New York taxi. So he was not only Uber, he was not only Lyft, but he's also a New York taxi. So he was going, he could do it any one of those three ways. And I wouldn't have been surprised maybe by a taxi driver in another city, but a New York taxi that's got to pay for that medallion and he was still doing Uber pickups.
Yeah. Let's go back to it. What's the advantage of going with Uber? I get you're saying the wholesaler thing specifically. Where does Tesla benefit from working with Uber?
Yeah. So if Uber has some way of connecting with the app, then when the call comes in and it's a call, see, how is that going to work? So the person could pick like we do now. We can pick black, we can pick regular, we can pick e-car, but now an additional pick would be autonomous. So
Or
you
people
choose.
would just automatically go to the Tesla app because they want a cheaper ride than going on Uber.
So you think it'll be cheaper?
Without a doubt. I mean,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
we're taking the human out.
Well, a lot of people are talking about the idea that it won't need to be cheaper because we'll just be thrilled not to have somebody that we have to chat up.
Even if it's the exact same price, it's cheaper just because you don't have to tip someone.
Don't have to tip. That's true. That's true. Yeah. And that's another benefit, not having to worry about the tip. All right. Okay. So no Uber. And you're thinking it might be kind of limited in the beginning in terms of who, excuse me, who gets to be and somebody that's on the app might be limited at first.
Yeah, the way I see this rolling out is they have a very stringent QA process already,
Uh-huh.
and that's for FSD. I see that same schema playing out with the robotaxi. So what I mean by that is, like I said, I think they're probably already testing this with employees. So
Right.
just like FSD beta, it starts off with the employees.
Mhm.
If that passes muster, then it goes out to a select few
Mhm.
customers
Mhm.
who happen to be Tesla drivers,
Right.
happen to be people who are, investors, right? Like Omar, Chuck Cook, those people, right? There'll
Right.
be a select few of those probably in a select one city, maybe a couple cities. And then from there, it'll expand out. Yeah. So I think a good solid QA test, because they don't know what they don't know, and you don't know what you don't know until you go scale. And that's the whole point, is let's slowly keep adding these concentric circles that get bigger and bigger so we learn more. Sometimes having 50, 100 people is not enough to figure out the things that took 1,000 people to know.
Yeah. And so you're also saying that these would be supervised in the beginning, but the idea would be supervised only for the absolute necessity of taking over in a safety situation.
It'll be supervised for maximum 1 year.
I see. For a year, up to a year. Wow. Okay.
Maximum.
Okay. All right. I did watch a video a while back that helped me a little bit. Maybe you saw the same video because I was trying to figure out what happens when we actually do get the driver out of there, when there is no supervisor, and what happens when there is an emergency, whether it's a passenger, whether it is, some kind of a fire, not in the car necessarily, but a fire that's, in the area, or it runs into a dead end that it can't figure out. And it was interesting to see that this particular vehicle over in China, they had that all worked out, kind of like we had been talking about, with a ability to get on and talk to somebody, a customer service person, on the screen and figure out what to do next.
Yeah, there's definitely going to have to be some kind of customer support, but I don't think it's going to be in the way people are thinking about it. It's not going to be the way Waymo or Cruise do it, and it's not going to be, I don't think, the way the people in China are doing it. They're a lot more people, a lot more engaged. I believe that FSD by the end of this year will get to a point where if it gets to a dead end, it's going to be able to figure out how to get its way out of there. It's not going to need anything. If there's a fire in a certain area, it's going to be able to see that. It's going to be able to share that information, disseminate it across any other Teslas in the area, and they'll all avoid it. I think it's going to be a lot more intelligent than this kind of clunky, fragile system that you see with Waymo and Cruise and the Chinese vendors. I think it's going to be a Tesla product, not a let me bolt on some things I've got an Ace Hardware product.
And speaking of all of that, how are you finding your Tesla in terms of its abilities these days on FSD?
Ooh, Mamba's hurt. Mamba, we got in an accident.
Oh, what? Oh, that happened.
Yeah,
Didn't that happen a while ago?
about 2.5 weeks ago now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We did a show after that happened. Okay. So that
Yeah.
you don't have it back on the road yet.
No, we were supposed to get it back this week, and then this morning got a message. They went to do the final alignment, and they saw that it wasn't getting into alignment,
Oh,
and so they had to get another piece that they won't. They didn't tell me in the app what the piece was, but so now I gotta wait for that. Luckily, though, bright side, the person who caused the accident, there's no dispute. Their insurance is taking full responsibility. My deductible is not gonna. I don't have to pay a deductible, and yeah,
okay.
all is right in the world on that front. So I don't know. I'm out of the loop. I'm just hoping I get it back before 12/4 gets pushed out.
There you go. So I don't know if did you have a chance to see that's the Dan Priestley video that was out this morning on the semi truck, the one that we think might have impacted stock prices today.
Um, I did not watch it. I've read a lot about it.
Okay, all right, okay.
Is this something do you think I need to watch that
Oh, I'd
I
watch
wouldn't
the
have
whole.
gotten through?
I would watch it for sure. Now, I have
Yeah.
seen a lot of, I've not watched the videos where people were interpreting it. Wang and I did a very extensive video earlier today, and that'll be part two coming up tomorrow or Friday. I'm not sure when we're going to do it. But yeah, there's a lot of hidden gems in that video, I
Mm.
can tell you. So let's talk about a couple of the hidden gems that we think we found. One of them was that at the end of the video, he puts out a cry, a plea, if you will, to the truck companies, the fleet companies, whether they're truckers, whether they're Walmart, whoever they are, to please step up to the line and place regular orders. So, in the course of the plea, he talks about the fact that what was happening and what is happening is even like Pepsi and others are coming in and saying, well, give me 3 and I'll test them for a year. And give me, then if it works out for a year, maybe I'll actually take delivery on 20. And then if after a year, I'll take delivery on 100. And Brian Wang and I are both going, oh man, how do you set up to make 50,000 if everybody only wants 3 the first year? So we think that's what happened, is that they were ready to start doing their 40,000 and 64. They got all these orders, 1,000 here, 500 there. And then everybody says, yeah, but we need to test for a year or two before we can really take the entire thing. So this is kind of speculation on our part, but I think if you listen to his plea and the way he's like, come on, guys, you need to step up. So I thought that was an important piece of news today.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they saw what happened with Hertz real closely,
Yeah.
and that's gonna leave people being a little more cautious. Different space, obviously, different type of fleet and all that, but nevertheless, it something like that will definitely force. It'll give you the caution, proceed with caution. Yeah,
Well, not only that, I think it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, let's think about it. If you normally buy 100 or 200 or 300 trucks a year, you're not going to just all of a sudden switch, and I think that Tesla thought that would happen, that, well, this is so obvious. Next year, instead of buying 100 diesel, I'll buy 100 electric. But no, you're what do you want to call it? The mistake of switching 100% immediately could be huge. That could be a
yeah.
really disastrous mistake. So I think what's happening now, maybe, and again, this is all speculation, is that as they've proven out themselves in their own work and in Pepsi's work, and the numbers have been clear as to how it operates, what it can do, how it can charge, etc. That's allowed some of these people to step up and go, okay, I'm ready to make a real commitment, not a so-called commitment.
Yeah, it's actually a little surprising that we didn't see more companies do the initial testing like Pepsi did.
Yeah.
And I imagine that's by Tesla's choice. They're probably gatekeeping that. Um, but I don't want to speculate, but it'd be interesting to understand what the decision was behind that, because this may be a market where, at least for the next few years, that's the way it's going to be. Let us test it. Let us make sure it's going to work. Let our people get used to it. Let us figure out what we don't know, what we do know, and then we'll order big numbers. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So hopefully, I mean, I think obviously whatever decision they've made now to start ramping up in 2026 must be based on some of that feedback that they now believe they can sell 50,000 or 40 or 30,000 in 2026. So the other thing that we noticed, there was a bunch, there's a whole long list of little things that came out of it, but he also said Tesla has changed their viewpoint. They've moved their eyeballs to new products.
new products. Okay.
New products. In other words, they were tied down by FSD and Cybertruck. The emphasis was on those. And so now apparently they have the bandwidth to start looking at new products. And that was apparently another reason why the Semi is now in view. Might also explain some other things that we thought were being held up.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So one of the thoughts there would be that is also why we are now looking at even Robotaxi and the Gen 3 vehicle being moved around the way it is being moved around, as they have more bandwidth to actually attack it.
Yeah, but what created that new bandwidth?
The getting to the place where the FSD was basically fait accompli.
Okay, so you think that's what? Did he mention anything about FSD on the Semi?
He did not.
Oh,
Oh, I know. I don't think so. I could go back and look. I don't think even the idea of doing the what do you call it? Uh, uh, when you have them all lined up and the front guy is driving and everybody else is following the
oh, like a caravan.
caravan. I don't think he even mentioned that. So I I know that Brian Wang thinks that they also believe that by 2026 they'll have FSD for the trucks. So that also makes another real positive way to sell it in 2026.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a big difference, right? If you had FSD on trucks.
Yeah, that'd be big, huge.
I mean, not even just to get rid of the I mean, I imagine it'd be for a while. FSD, it'd be with the human driving, um, for many reasons, right? There's a lot of reasons why you would still probably want to keep a human in the cab,
Yep.
but man, yeah, that would be game changing.
Would be, yes. It'd be good, game changing for the driver, as you and I
Yeah,
both know, everybody talks about, you're so much more relaxed after a long drive if you've been on FSD. Okay, then I know this channel is not about Nvidia, but that's what everybody's talking about right now. And my guess would be more than a few all-in Tesla owners, stock owners, have put a little bit of their all-in money into Nvidia recently, because it's just I haven't done it, but I can't imagine that there hasn't been a lot of folks that were chasing that rainbow. So what do you think? What do you think this week? What's happening? What's going to happen?
I have not either.
Oh, okay.
Um, what's going to happen this week? I have a good sense of what's going to happen. Um, I hesitate to say. I think Nvidia is in solid footing right now.
Okay.
We'll just leave it at that. I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't want to get myself in trouble.
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Nvidia has been a solid company for a long time. They're clearly the leaders when it comes to chips and hardware at the moment. And they have deals going on right now with Dell, ServiceNow, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla. I mean, everybody's courting Jensen right now. So it's their moment in the sun. And I'm still of the opinion that hardware is not AI,
Right.
chips are not AI,
It-
and that there's only one real AI company in the world, and that's Tesla. Everybody else is playing with chatbots and using, you know, large language models and essentially just neural nets trained on language that we've been doing for a long time. Not saying it's not cool, but it's not anything that I think is going to be game changing. I think Tesla's the only company that's doing anything real AI game changing. So
So you're an embodied AI man, huh?
I'm a what is something I can actually use that's off of my desktop,
Right. I'm not
right?
on.
So if it, yeah, how is it real artificial intelligence if it's just another software program on my computer?
Got it. Got it.
Like it's like don't be wrong, it can help me write better, it can be a better grammar check, I can help me search questions faster, it can create presentations a lot easier for me. A great work utility, efficiency, productivity tool. Absolutely. With all these chatbots, LLMs. But that's the extent of it. I don't see it being anything real game changing like FSD, like humanoids.
All right. So this is a question that I'm just going to ask you. I don't care if the audience doesn't even care about this, but I think they do. I think they care about it, but it's not Tesla related at all. So I'm old, and old people don't want to learn new things. So I'm worried that this is just about me, but I don't think it is. I feel like the product coming out of OpenAI and the llama thing and the stuff out of Bing and I feel like it's a fire hose. It's a fire hose of ideas, a fire hose of apps, a fire hose of things that can make my life better that is coming at me so fast. I don't even have a chance. I don't have time to even go out and check out one out of 100 of them because there's just so many. Do you feel that at all? Is that
So I hear what you're saying, but I would look at it from a different lens. The way I see it right now, and this is not to say that I'm right. I think I'm right, but make up your own opinions out there. I think everybody's putting out the same things.
Mm,
That's all it is. You're just seeing the same stuff, rinse and repeat it. You know what it is? It's Taco Bell, but here's a taco, here's a Crunchwrap Supreme, here's a burrito. It's the same ingredients packaged differently, doing a tasting a little different, but it's really the same stuff, same
I see.
ingredients.
I see.
That's how I see it. All these LLMs, right? Is it a chatbot? Cool. Can it spell better? Cool. Can it take this video and transcribe it? Cool. It's all the same stuff over and over. And are they getting better with bigger context windows? In other words, a context windows where I can put X amount of input, right? I can type a very long question, a whole essay, whatever, and then it can take that, understand it. It's called attention, understand the whole context of it, and then give me a response, an answer, or whatever. Are those getting bigger? Are those getting better? Yes. Are the models getting smaller, more efficient? Yes. Great. Cool. But it's still doing the same things. It's a chatbot, it's a voice assistant. I mean, great. We have a better Alexa, a better Siri in whatever OpenAI's fake Jennifer Lawrence ripoff
Yes,
thing.
right.
Right? Like again, please tell me what's really revolutionary about this. None of it is. None of it's different. It's just an iteration of what we've done using a different approach rather than heuristics. So that's what I would put out there is that what we're seeing there, yes, you're right. There's a lot coming out, but it's a lot of the same. My bigger thing that I'm not seeing is how much of this is production ready, is actual client facing ready, is actually something that you would say to someone else, hey, I would go buy that.
Right. Right.
That is missing. That doesn't really exist. It, maybe for like 10 or $15 here and there, right? Something like a Grammarly. Yeah, It helps you write better so you don't sound so dumb when you don't remember when to put a semicolon or not, little things like that. Sure. If you're a developer, sure. I don't want to have to go and look up these libraries. Can you just find this library from a great? I'll import it. Done. It's efficient. Yeah, sure. Maybe at that point it's worth the 10, $15 a month.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's not changing the game. That's no different than any other utility. That's no different than paying for PowerPoint, right? Because it helps make presentations faster. And that's how I see it. So from that window, it's like, okay, sure, it's a fire hose, but it's a fire hose all spraying in the same way of the same continuum that we've been on. It's nothing revolutionary. It's just evolutionary. FSD, humanoids, those are revolutionary. We've never had anything like FSD.
Right.
We've never had anything like a humanoid.
Right.
That to me is real AI. That to me is what matters.
All right. So Elon is buying up compute everywhere. Dell, AMD, I don't know. I mean, there was a list I saw this morning, 10 billion here, 5 billion there. I don't know. Maybe I've got power 10 wrong, but there's like all these places that he's buying up all these computers. What's the end game? To have so much more compute than necessary, or to eventually have a product?
Okay, so yeah, so let's take a step back. Let's take a step back by answering your last question there. It's not about having the most compute, right? That's not the name of the game, right? Here's the difference between Tesla and everybody else. Tesla's maybe a company like Figure AI or these other robotic companies, they would be in the same category, but they're the only ones with a very narrow focused use case, right? And Tesla's example, it's FSD and it's Optimus. Very narrow use case. Everybody else buying all this compute, they're trying to figure it out. They're running LLMs, maybe they're training LLMs, but they're okay, great. So you've got a really strong model that can be applied to what? To do what? Sure, it's a lot of exploratory and all that, but with Tesla, they're not in the exploratory phase. They're in the productization phase. And so I don't think that they are buying compute and servers, whatever, just to buy it. They're buying it with a purpose. There's a purpose behind it. Now, I think people are making way too many assumptions on the Dell piece. Why? Because people keep saying that they're buying compute from Dell. Dell doesn't sell compute. Let's be clear about this. What is compute? Most people say that. They don't really know what it means. The compute part is the CPU, the GPU part of the server.
Right.
Dell sells prepackaged servers, so storage, memory, compute, all in the chassis already. Now, what's interesting is I don't think that they're buying H100s, H200s, definitely not buying Blackwell from Dell because they would get that straight from Nvidia, and Nvidia will package it in their own 2U servers and deliver that. So what is Elon buying from Dell? That is a huge question mark to me. Now, not everything requires GPUs. Definitely not H100s and all of that. A lot of the stuff that you do on a day-to-day basis just requires regular normal servers.
Yeah.
Just CPUs. That's all you need, right? So potentially they're just building everything out they need for profiles for, right? Like Uber, right? All the user profiles, that does not require GPUs or anything, but that does require a lot of servers that can process a lot of information. You have to host those profiles. The profiles have to be independent. Those profiles have to be isolated from one another because they have personal identification information. They've got names, they've got addresses, they have credit card numbers, right? So all of that would be on normal compute. So I am more so of the opinion that they are building out the infrastructure to host all that so they don't have to rent from a public cloud.
Right.
That's what I think is happening. They're building their own on-premise cloud. Now, I see that for the robotaxi business, but that also leaves the opening for Dojo as a service in the future. And the reason I say that is because, again, you would still want all these normal traditional type servers like from Dell, to front end the
Uh,
dojo as a service. You're not going to use the dojo servers to handle all of the profiles and logging into your account, whatever, right? All that would happen on a regular server. And then from there, okay, now I'm ready to rent. And now I'll go ahead and start doing what I need to do on dojo. But dojo is very specific. So if you're not using it for that, right, so you are sitting and working on regular servers. So I think people are making assumptions about what this is that I think is not what it is. I
yeah.
think Tesla's building their own infrastructure internally right now to support all these other businesses.
Wow. Okay. So then and you would be inclined to think that Dojo as a service is something that is coming.
I do. I mean, the purely speculation, purely based on the TSMC, things we're seeing coming out. Yeah, something's happening there.
Something's happening. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, Jamie Dimon and Warren Buffett in the last 2 weeks have both said, I don't see anything worth buying out there. Could it be that that's where the market is right now? That there's nothing, that everything's a little too pricey, and everything's the okay, the pretty good earnings of the first quarter are priced in fully now into the market, and it might be time for either a sell-off or for a little bit of friendliness coming to some of the underperforming stocks like Tesla. Is that maybe what happened today?
Which goes back into what I was saying at the beginning of this, right? Jamie Dimon and Warren Buffett will not tell you when they think is a good buying time or that they see good opportunities out there. They did not get to where they are by telling people, forecasting that. That's not. I mean, literally, just Buffett's whole, cigar butts, philosophy from Ben Graham, like literally laughs in the face of that, right? So no, Tesla's clearly undervalued. Tesla is one of the Mag 7s, and they are the only ones that are still down for the year. So, yeah, there's lots of opportunity there. And, I'm not saying Buffett's buying, not saying Diamond's buying, but clearly there's people buying.
Oh, no,
And,
I wasn't even suggesting either one of them were buying Tesla.
oh,
I was just meaning that could the rest of the market, well, when I say the rest of the market, could there be a cadre in the market right now that is feeling the same way they are, looking around and going, everything's a little pricey. I don't see any 2X's. I don't see any, I don't see any really good plays here. They look around, they go, oh, well, maybe. What about Tesla? I haven't looked at Tesla for a while, and they're kind of beat down. And as you mentioned, the only one of the Mag 7. And they have this big option, FSD, Robotaxi, Optimus, Dojo.
I think we're quickly moving into a place where FSD is not, Robotaxi is not an option play anymore.
No.
That Optimus is the option play, and Robotaxi is more of a how long until this business is profitable.
Gotcha.
I think we're headed there. But no, I mean, you're right. This is what Wall Street does. I mean, Jim Cramer's famous for having a video where he talks about what hedge funds do, right? They put out fake articles, they talk about FUD, whatever, intentionally to get a stock down so that retail shareholders sell out, and then they can come in and they can buy on the way up, and things rally back up, right? I mean, I'm not saying Diamond or Buffett are necessarily doing that, but they're part of the machine. And this is why buy and hold has always been the, immunization to Wall Street and hedge funds and the nefarious actors out there.
So do you see a coming sell-off of the current market anytime soon? 10%, 20%, normal correction?
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe, huh?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think, like I said, the market is so much harder to predict. I think Tesla's a little easier to predict, to be
Okay.
frank. It's like at this point, things are predictable,
Then let's go for the easy thing to predict, because you've made multiple predictions on this, the economy. Are we going to get that recession in the third quarter?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
Nope.
Well,
Nope. Are you changing your mind?
I'm 30% now.
30? Oh, it's going down. It just keeps going down.
Well, no, I went down. Okay, so I was last time you and I probably talked about it.
You said 50-50.
I would know it's a 60, 65.
60-40? Okay.
And then I went down to 10. I went all the way down to 10% chance. I started saying, no, I can't. But what I'm seeing is the consumer running out of money. I just don't know where the consumer is going to get their next dollar to spend to be able to go out and buy that refrigerator or even go to McDonald's. And you saw all that stuff from Starbucks, McDonald's, Home Depot, all these guys talking about the consumer running out of money. So I think that's the biggest potential. That would be the end of the boom bust. You know, you've got the boom, you've got all this money flowing through, and then all these foolish people who thought they could spend that way forever. Now they got to be back on a budget. They don't know how to do the budget because they've had all this extra and they're running out. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. So I don't think anything's going to happen this year because, one, if they wouldn't call it a recession when we had two negative, I mean, why would they start now in the middle of an election, right? Like so that's not going to happen. That's for sure. So I don't think that happens this year. I do agree with you. I think the consumers have been tapped out. They've been on credit. They're over leveraged. They're up to debt in their eyeballs. We hear from Costco, from Walmart, you see it across the board that people aren't spending. Costs are coming down. McDonald's. I mean, you can go on and on, right? So, but here's my problem. I still think we're in a recession. I think we've been in a recession.
Okay.
Right? When you ask that question, are they going to declare a recession finally? Or are they going to acknowledge it? Or are they just going to keep, painting a picture like, no, you're doing okay. Things are all right. It's better than you think it is. Don't worry about it. Right? It's like we get these amazing job numbers only to be revised down. We get these amazing CPI numbers only to be revised down. If you look at Wall Street now, when CPI comes out, PPI, jobs number, people don't look at the actual number anymore. They look for the revisions.
I know. We do that.
So,
yeah.
yeah. So, it's like, and Wall Street's, gotten privy to this. So, and I think that's why the Fed has been a lot more dovish or more so leaning towards, yeah, we're still going to have rate cuts. We still see rate cuts. And I really think that CPI and inflation is a lot lower than people think it is.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I do. But I think not to get political, but I do think the administration is putting their thumb on the scale to show a rosy economy right now that's not so rosy. That hasn't been so rosy.
Would,
I
would,
mean,
would you think that opening up the oil reserves and selling oil in this market when there's plenty of oil on the market and no international incident that's going to get in the way of the oil, would you think that might be an evidence of putting the finger on the scale?
yeah, I mean, it is. And not to say that this wouldn't happen if it was the other party in power. It very well may. I don't know. All I'm saying is what I see in front of me right now. And what I see in front of me right now is a thumb on the scale. And, I mean, there's no doubt there's a thumb on the scale when we changed the narrative and messaging of what recession was.
Yeah, well,
Right? It was crazy. We saw Wikipedia change
right.
overnight. Like it was the definition of Big Brother.
Right.
Like
Now you
you're
do have
imagining this.
Now you do have consumer confidence and the small businesses saying things are rough out there.
That's my point.
Okay, so if it's rough, then wouldn't you be expecting at some point that's going to show up in GDP?
Well, didn't we already have a lower than expected GDP last
Yes.
quarter? Yeah.
So I'm saying it goes negative in third quarter, but we won't know that. Remember, that's going to be July, August, September. We're not going to get that number until late October, sometime mid-October, late October.
Yeah. But still, it would take two, right? Two negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah. But GDP is God, government moves so slow. GDP is just the wrong metric in 2024, right? It leaves so much out. It's a metric, I get it. It's what we've had forever, but I don't think it paints the real story. I mean, even like with housing, right? And what's happening with rent prices and all that. The way we measure it is
Crazy. Yeah, yeah.
not, no pun intended, it's backwards. I know it's backwards looking, but it's just backwards the way we do it in general.
Right, 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 right. Okay. Well, I think I've gone through my list unless there's something that you're passionate about right now that I didn't cover.
Well, I'm curious. Where are you at? What do you think actually moved the stock today, or do you think this is the beginning of a upward movement? I mean, I'm looking at the
So,
chart right now,
so I
and it's been. Go ahead.
yeah, so I watch it, of course, every minute of the day practically, because that's my job as part of the show. And so what I saw was there was it started with a small movement in the morning around, $3 or whatever. And that was about the time that the China numbers were coming out. So I figured maybe everybody's okay, taking a deep breath, a deep sigh of relief that the China numbers look like maybe they'll be equal to last year's, not under last year's. And then about another hour or so later, we had another $3 increase, and that was about the time that people started reporting on the video from what's it called, the ACT, or I forget the name of the conference, talking about the semi. And after watching that video, I felt like it was way more bullish than the surface level stuff. It'd be kind of like seeing the CPI, you know,
Yeah.
oh no, the headline number, and selling everything you owned, and then looking an hour later and going, the stock market's up because people looked deeper into it. So I think that's why I'm recommending you watch the video. I recommend to all of you that you watch the video, because I think that it's extremely bullish. And yes, it's a year and a half away before we get to 2026, but it's a $10 billion, 50, well, it's really 20 billion because you got to buy the superchargers. So it's at least a $20 billion business right off the kick if they sell 50,000 units. So that's a pretty significant piece of business.
Okay.
So that's
All
what I
right.
thought
Yeah.
happened today. Yeah.
So is this a one day thing, or does it continue?
So I think there's a possibility that, so there was a little, profit
Wow.
taking in the after hours, profit taking in the after hours. But I would think that it's that's probably all in at this point. There might be people that are watching my video or watching other people's videos about that semi that might tomorrow still be going, well, maybe I should get a little bit of that. The other thing is we did break out. I'm not a technicalist, but I've heard from several people that the 183 breakout was important. And so there could be, some technical moves tomorrow above that, going up to the 195, I think it is 194. I can't, don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we break past 188, we're going to 200.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's your,
So
that's
that's
your, that's your technical analysis.
I yeah, I don't do technicals, but at the same time, I guess that is technicals. It doesn't take a rocket science to look at a chart and flow.
Beware.
Um,
Right.
yeah, I mean, you can just see where resistance and where big blocks of buying and selling occur. Like that's just
Right.
common sense to look at. You can see where the gaps are in air pockets. Um, so yeah, I think we go to 200. If we break out of 200, then you know who knows what could happen.
Right. Well, okay. So if we look at it right now, we're at 184.96 after going up 1165 today. We're off $1.64 in the after hours, and that's about where it's been for the last hour or so in the after hours. So a little bit of profit taking there at the top, but you're looking for a 188 breakout. Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
Well, the real breakout I'm looking for is like
200, yeah,
240. No, 240.
after 200.
Yeah. So let me see. Can I share my screen on here?
So, well, no, you
I'll
can't,
keep this quick.
not until I let you. So,
Oh, okay.
just a second, just take a second here. Go ahead. Go ahead, put it up.
Okay. So you can see my screen, okay?
I can.
Okay, cool. So you can see this is a 5-year chart.
Okay.
So this was when we hit our all-time highs, in
Right.
'01. And you can see we just been on a straight
Downward.
downward trajectory. Yeah. So breaking that trend, you can see, and you can see where we bottomed, right? So
Right.
we're sitting here in this pivot point. Now, you're gonna love this. These two lines don't intersect where it's like, what's gonna happen until June, essentially a year from now, June 2025, which
No.
is the same time that everything's supposed to be coming into fruition for Tesla, right? With the
Right.
robo taxis, the next gen vehicle, all of that. So it's very interesting. But if you look at it, to break out right now, this is about 230, 240 ish right here. If
Mhm.
breaking above this downward trend that we've been on for almost 3 years
Yeah.
would be a very, very big deal.
Right.
Um, and you don't have to believe in technical analysis or anything to just believe in patterns,
Sure.
right? And this is a very clear trend. Like
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it. So I think breaking out of this is what really matters. But to do that, we got to get 200
And then
and
two.
go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. And of course, I'm sure you know that I have my 2026 thesis. So you say June of 2025. Yes, everything will be moving in 2025, but 2026 is when everything will be making money. And so I have my
I see that.
2026 thesis, but I also believe that the market is going to figure that out by the end of this year, or certainly by your June of 2025. They will figure out that this is a huge rocket that is on its way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not going to take much. I mean, I just feel like we're on that precipice of look, we had bad deliveries in Q1. We're expecting back deliveries coming up. All the drama with Elon, he's a Nazi, he's anti-Semitic, he is doing too much free speech. Biden's going after him. The lawsuits taking his share. All this stuff, okay? And we're sitting here at 186. 6% interest rates, the economy's down, autos are slowing down, EV's dead, everyone's moving to hybrid. Eventually, all this stops. Yes, exactly. There's a pendulum effect
Right.
eventually. And we've been on this, like everything I mentioned, you can see over the last 3 years that downward trend, right? It's like it's all like coalescing there. So eventually this does break out, right? It's going to happen. The tech's there, the progress is there, the vehicles are getting better. Competition is nowhere to be found. In fact, they're dying and they're pivoting away.
Right.
So it's just a matter of time. And you know, what's the old adage? Nope. Father time's undefeated or something like that. I know it's the wrong, but you can't outlast time, and you
Yeah. Yeah.
can't outlast this. Eventually, things will if nothing else, eventually things will regress to the mean,
Mhm.
and that's up, not down.
Right. All right. So we've got bonds, the 10-year bonds right now sitting at 4414, 4.1414. That's unchanged in the after hours and pretty low. Do you expect what do you expect? I know you and I have been completely wrong. Everybody's been completely wrong about what the Fed's going to do with interest rates. Do you have a new prediction?
Same prediction. They will eventually do a quarter percentage, and then after that they'll do a much bigger one
Because
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 they'll
it'd be in trouble.
yes.
Okay. All right. I'm still saying no cuts this year, no matter what.
Really,
No cuts this year.
no
Well,
matter what.
possible cut in November or December only, again, to your point, if there's trouble, if they're really seeing a problem in the labor market.
I was with some people this past weekend who work at McKinsey, uh, and they think we're going up to. They think rates are going to go up to like 8, 9, 10%.
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy mackerel.
and I look at them, and I told them, okay, I'll put money on that, and yeah, so we'll see what happens. We
You
didn't
took,
actually bet, but I
you
told
took
them
the other
gentlemen's
side.
bet. Yeah,
All right. So the 2 month though is up 3.6% right now. I'm sorry, it's 3.6 basis points. So that spread continues to widen again. I don't know. I can't figure that whole inversion thing. I've given up figuring it out. Now I just report it and scratch my head every night. So, all right, let's see. Let's look at oil. We've got oil, of course, has been, so oil is showing unchanged, even with the announcement by the president that he was going to sell oil from the reserve. That's shocking to me. I thought I thought people would be running from that trade, but it's unchanged in the pre-market right now. Interesting. Natural gas, I did not do. I keep on promising I'm going to do this and I don't. Do you have a clue why natural gas has run up 35% or something in the last few weeks?
No idea. Unfortunately,
Okay.
that's outside my circle of
Yeah.
competency.
Yeah, I was going to try to dig into it today, but I mean, it's gone from like 160 to 260 in
Wow.
weeks, just weeks. Gold off 50 cents in the pre-market, sitting at 24.25, somewhere right around all-time highs. Silver still sitting very close to, now it wouldn't be all-time highs. Do you remember, you were a kid, but do you remember, wasn't there a silver scam in like 2012, 2013? Silver went crazy and then crashed. Because when you look at the chart, there was a big spike like in 2012.
Not that I can recall.
Okay, it seemed to me there was somebody tried to corner the market or something. Couldn't quite remember it. Anyway, copper up again, 511. Now that one I understand. I don't know if you've looked at it. This whole electric problem, the need to build out the grid, to buy more wire for the. I mean, they need copper everywhere, and so I called this one. This is one I get credit for. I called it months ago that copper was going to go crazy, and it is going crazy. It's at all-time highs. Dollar is unchanged in the pre-market. Bitcoin up another 500 at over 70,000 again. So where's Bitcoin going from here?
Probably up.
Okay, probably up. Okay. Elon said he thought that, I think he was quoted today as saying he thought that Bitcoin was going to be more widely used shortly. There would be more acceptance of Bitcoin. Equities, Dow up 11, S&P up $1.50, call it flat, and NASDAQ up 1450. So a little bit of upward movement in the equities for tomorrow. Nothing exciting or shocking or that I would use to bet my house on. Yeah. Last thoughts for the day.
Go vote. Don't hope.
There you go. All right. Thank you for that. And thank you for joining me again and in your regular Tuesday slot. We look forward to seeing you next week. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.